1. Luis Garavito, country Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. Years active 1969 and 1980. Proven victims 110. Possible victims 300 plus, child murderer and rapist. Known as the Monster of the Andes. Lopez targeted young girls between the ages of 8 and 12. Arrested in 1980 and convicted in 1983 of killing 3 young girls, but claimed to have killed hundreds, despite being believed to be one of the most prolific serial killers of the 20th century. He was released in the late 1990s. 2. Javed Iqbal, country. Pakistan. Years active 1998, 1999. Proven victims 100. Possible victims 100. Child murderer and rapist, known as Kukri. Iqbal murdered 100 street children by strangling them and covering up his crimes by dissolving the bodies with acid. He was arrested in December 1999 after sending a letter to a newspaper and was set to be executed in the manner described by the judge, who stated, "You will be strangled to death in front of the parents whose children you killed, and your body will then be cut into 100 pieces and put in acid the same way you killed the children." However, he died in custody before he could be executed. 3. Mikhail Popkov, country. Russia. Years active 1992 to 2010. Proven victims 83. Possible victims 86 plus. Serial rapist killer nicknamed the Werewolf, who was active for 2 decades in Angarsk, Irkutsk, and Vladivostok. After being convicted of 22 murders in 2015, he confessed to an additional 59 murders, of which he was convicted of 56 in 2018. In July 2020, Popkov confessed to more killings, bringing the total number of admitted victims to 83. He was convicted of additional 2 killings in 2021 and another 3 in 2023. He was sentenced to life. 4. Daniel Camargo Barbosa, country, Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil. Years active 1974 to 1986. Proven victims 72. Possible victims 180. Child and woman murderer, believed to have possibly raped and killed over 150 victims, primarily targeting female children, as they were more likely to be virgins. Confessed to killing 72 victims. He strangled young girls in Colombia and was arrested, but he escaped from prison and started killing in Ecuador. He was rearrested in 1986 and was allegedly incarcerated in the same Ecuadorian prison as 300 serial killer Pedro Lopez. Camargo was killed in jail by the nephew of one of his victims. 5. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, country. Brazil. Years active 1967 to 2003. Proven victims 71. Possible victims 100 plus. Rodrigues Filho claimed to have killed over 100 victims, 47 of them inmates. He also killed his father, who had killed his mother and ate a piece of his heart. He killed his first 2 victims at the age of 14. He was first arrested in 1973. He was convicted and sentenced to 128 years, but the maximum one can serve in Brazil is 30 years. He was released in 2018. He was murdered by 2 men in 2023. 6. Kampadamar Shankaria, country, India. Years active 1977 to 1978. Proven victims 70. Possible victims 70 plus. Shankaria was an Indian serial killer who used a hammer to kill over 70 men and women between 1978 and 1979. He was hanged in 1979. His last words were, "I have murdered in vain," he declared. "Nobody should become like me." 7. Yang Xinhai, country, China. Years active 1999 to 2003. Proven victims 67. Possible victims 67. Known as the Monster Killer, Yang would enter victims' homes at night and kill using axes, meat cleavers, hammers, and shovels. He was executed by gunshot in 2004. 8. Hossein Amini, country, Iran. Years active 1954 to 1962. Proven victims 67. Possible victims 67. known as the Ghost of the Comet Wells. Murdered 67 people in the city of Verimin. From 1954 to 1962, sometimes aided by accomplices. He earned his nickname by decapitating his victims post-mortem and then dumping their bodies into wells. 9. Abul Jabbar, country, Afghanistan, years active, 1970 and earlier, proven victims, 65. Possible victims, 300 plus. Killed 65 men and boys by strangling them with turbans while raping them. Suspected of over 300 murders. Sentenced to death and hanged on October 21, 1970. 10. Samuel Little, country, United States. Years active .1970 to 2005. Proven victims, 60. Possible victims, 93. Little was convicted of killing 3 women, but later investigations linked 31 other murders to him. He claimed he killed as many as 93 victims total, 3 above his initial confession of 90. The FBI later confirmed a total of 60 murders linked to Little. The investigations into his crimes are ongoing. Sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. On September 25, 2014. Died in prison on December 30, 2020, aged 80.